Hey, so this is DigiFoxCat, and I'm going to do my first video like this. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be using Crayola's Art of Edge. If you can see it there, I'm using weird camera angles to kind of show how to do two color tone, my version. As you can see on Batgirl here, got a darker purple and grays and blacks. And these are really great because they're straight from the comics. To do shading and practice shading. So here I got Supergirl from the Justice League one. I've done a few of the other ones here. So there's one version, and here is her with Superman that I've done. And so basically this is what she looks like in the comics for New 52, which is the design they have. I don't like her design so much for this one. It looks very weird. It looks like she's wearing a long sleeve bathing suit leotard. But I do various versions of that, so I'm going to kind of start here. Basically, I'm going to be using Crayola's. So this is Crayola's Peach, and I'm going to be using some Sargent Art. This is Sargent Art's peach color for it. Generally speaking, I do like Prismacolors the best. However, I don't have a large variety due to the price of Prismacolors. And for this, I just started doodling with the Crayola, cheaper Crayola ones. So I'm going to start off with the Sargent Art, and we're just going to do this again. I'm going to bring out my regular paper to show you. I tend to hold mine like a regular pencil, as you can tell, and then I just kind of do it slightly on the shade, so I'm up higher on the pencil, so you get this nice smooth shading. Otherwise, you get, let me change to one of my extra pencils. If you just have it, you get a very sharp tone and it's hard to do. I'll do that for my shading. And then normally people like it where you have it like this. It just feels very awkward to get that tone, in my opinion, just because of the way I am. I am left-handed, so that perceives another challenge. So with that, I may speed this up a little bit and just do the tones, but we'll see how this goes. So basically I'm going to start with peach. Skin tones I always usually start because it's easy to kind of change colors as you go. Darker colors don't erase well if you've got ones that can erase a little well. And then the lighter shades will not go on quite as easy. So you want to work basically from lightest to darkest in a similar fashion to painting. If you've painted, you don't want to start with your black and do all your details unless you're outlining. So I'm gonna get up here and do her, and don't be afraid to turn the page. As you can tell, we have a breakage. Okay, so I kind of started doing the colors off screen just to get it, and I was using the Sargent Art Peach because it is lighter than the Crayola, so I'm going to use the Crayola to do details. As you can tell, it's got some shading in here, and you just want to expand on the shading. Using the darker color, you can press harder because it gives you more of a distinction between colors and just kind of shows, and just basically want to, using the shading and seeing where the light is, like the light's here, and this part here on the leg because it's bent up is going to be slightly darker because it's in the shade of the thigh. And then you got like shading here, you make it a little darker, you darken up this area here, and you just basically want to kind of get a concept of how lighting works. That's where having like an object like a bowl of fruit on a table and then taking a lamp or a flashlight and seeing different angles, and you can even take pictures of that to see how it works. So I just kind of go through and take and just do the shading, darken up the knee here, kind of extend it to the shading area. And like I said, these comic book ones that are from the adult coloring books are really great to have because they do keep some of the shading. Is basically they're colorless, so they don't have the color, but they have the black shading, which they'll go back digitally and make that into colors. And the hand, because the lighting, you can see here in the eyes a little bit. I'll try to lift it up so you can see. So the eyes have the whites coming this way, so the lighting's coming this way onto the page. So the bottom of her hand is going to be darker. You just want to kind of carry that in here. This part, the way you have your fist. You can always use your actual body when doing humans. I do it a lot. I'll stand in front of the mirror to get the pose just the way I want it. Use my hands, legs, feet, and with doing the pose with the way I want the coloring to be, or not the coloring, the clothes really helps out, and do some there. And then, you know, just take and do little lines in between the fingers to show, you know, there's separation there on the fingers and in here. Faces are really hard to do. I'm gonna kind of zoom this in a little closer to the camera, because you got to think about, you know, the nose isn't flat, so you've got shading on the sides of the nose. Underneath your eyebrows and your eyelids, you've got some shading, and then you got to figure out where the hair is falling. You generally speaking, with hair, you want to have it kind of extend outwards a little bit, like I did here, or I extended the hair out, because the shadowing's not going to be exactly done. And ears, of course, usually are darker shades, and then chin, underneath the chin, the neck. And like I said, if you get some of the comic book adult coloring books, they have it where they basically took the inking part before they did digitally, and they create the book that way, and it really helps. So you get an idea. So this part right here for chin is going to be a little bit darker. Just kind of extend that out, and then get right in here for nose, kind of curve it around so it matches, and a little bit around her lips and underneath her nose. I'm doing a little bit wider on the face, otherwise it looks kind of funny actually if you get it like that way. So for the hair, because she's blonde, it's a little harder. So I've got, whoops, that's both my Crayolas. I have extras just in case of breakage. So I've got Crayola yellow, nice bright yellow, and I got the Sergeant Art golden yellow. It's a little bit darker, kind of got a golden hint to it. So for luck of time, I'm going to do. Okay, so I started shading on the hair, so I want to show you how I kind of do it. I'm going to turn. I like turning. Don't be afraid to spin your paper around however it feels comfortable for you to get into spots. So I'm going to take, and what I like to do for shading is I kind of line it up with the eyes, and I kind of come underneath where the shading is and just kind of give it a jagged edge for lighting, and do the same above, leaving as big of highlights as you want. And then kind of shading with the hair, otherwise it looks funny if it's already got lines like this one does. So I didn't do too much here. What you can do is most of the time you can take an eraser and erase, or even use white to get your shading in. I figured this pose she won't have too much shading. Don't know if she's going to be in the sunlight or out in space where she may or may not have that much shading. So we take the golden yellow, and basically hair, it's at your own discretion how you want to shade it. I usually use shading around like the face area will be like the back of your hair. If you have your hair down, it's going to be darker. The underneath part, I'm just kind of darken this area up here, and then right in here is going to be darker too, around where she is. It's hard to see. Yellows are really hard to work with unless you have like a fantastic set that has like 4 or 5 different shades. Most come with just a bright yellow and then maybe a little bit lighter yellow where you really can't tell a difference. Even in this one, the golden yellow of the Sergeant Art really is not all that different. Okay, so I finished the yellow off camera, and I've done the base color of blue, which is sky blue of Crayola. Now I'm going to use Crayola's dark blue to do the shading. And again, like I stated before, the shading is very easy to kind of just play around with here. One thing, and it gives you more of a contrast here when you're limited with colors and whatnot. You don't want to get it too close, but you also don't want to get it too dark either. I just kind of go around, like I said, playing like I did here. I've just followed it around. This part down here, or underneath the arm, is going to be darker than the upper. I extended this out a little bit. You can even connect it with the shading like that. And then abs are a little hard, so you want to play around with the way the color is. You just kind of go and give them a little shading. Do shading across because it's a skin tight outfit. So you got to consider her speed, because she's Supergirl. She's as fast as Superman and everything. And just kind of do a line down on one side, following her ab line. You just want to kind of continue that until you're finished and ready for the next color. Alright, so I've finished up the blue, and I've started on the base coat of the red, which is the burnt red from Sergeant Art. It's a little bit lighter than Crayola's. And I'm just going to finish coloring up the coat here, or the cape rather, not the coat. She's not wearing a coat. Here with the red, and then we'll do the shading, and I'll show you the finished product. And here's our Crayola red. Alright, here she is, all finished, and alongside her other two colorizations. So we've got her with Superman, just her by herself, and the one that I just did. Let me know which one you like the best. And I know some of the shading's a little off, but you know, that's practice. So I got this version and these two. And I hope you enjoyed that.